everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another reaction video. Today I'm going to be watching, reviewing, and reacting to the Season 1 finale of The Boys. So before I get into this final episode of the first season, just a couple of things. First, I am aware that Season 2 is already in production, which is good news. I think there's potential for a lot more interesting stories going forward with the base material at hand, and I'll be curious to possibly look up the comics, the source material in between seasons to get a sense of what's similar, what's different, what they could possibly do in the future. And second, just quickly, I wanted to address something that I saw in some comments on some of my YouTube videos in particular. To start with, this is a fairly long show, and you can only show a certain amount of time of the episode in any reaction or review video, so a lot of things are necessarily going to be cut. I apologize if the things that you enjoyed the most or felt were the most relevant are not the things that I enjoyed the most or felt were the most relevant. And I know sometimes it's disappointing if you wanted to see a reaction to a particular scene and it's cut, but it's always just going to be a matter of preference. And I also feel like a lot of times with reaction videos, I tried to include areas where I had more of a visible reaction. If it's something that I'm just kind of watching and just absorbing and there's not really anything for me to say at the moment, that's not really particularly of interest, I would think. So I don't tend to include those even if something significant is maybe happening in the scene, if that makes sense. And there was also some comments, particularly in reference to a lot of the stuff surrounding the Christian hypocrisy with some of the characters, in particular, especially with the scene surrounding Annie. I just briefly want to say I know I didn't really talk about that, and I'm sorry if that was disappointing to some people, but I do feel like those are themes that are fairly common in, or have been present in a number of different series that I've watched and reacted to. And I'm going to be starting his Dark Materials very soon, today in fact, and I know that is going to be an extremely significant theme in that show. And I feel like this series has different topics that I haven't gotten to see or cover as much, and so they're much more of interest to me, so I tend to focus more on just the things that I find the most significant about the episodes overall, and I guess to me that seemed more like just kind of an inclusion that wasn't super significant to the show overall, but just more had to do with the theme of general hypocrisy and the kind of corporatism behind hiding who they really are for the sake of selling things, and then of course with Annie's kind of coming out of naivete, but again, I didn't see that as really central. So I do apologize if those were things that you found particularly interesting and you wanted to see, but again, I have to go with what I find most interesting and with time limitations as well. So, alright, time for the finale. Let's check it out. Season 1, Episode 8. Here we go.
To who?
To me, sir. And then when it didn't suit you anymore, you just threw me away.
And not a day goes by, I don't regret it.
Daylight done us short, love. Now I'm gonna finish what you started. And I need your help. Please.
You're right. I won't stop you, but Billy, not the others. Vengeance isn't a path to glory, Hugh. It's a one-way ticket to a dead end. Looking at fucking birds.
The wall's closing.
Who gives a fuck about Stillwell? We have to go back for them.
You don't get it, Huey. We've got about a couple hours before they find us, and that's if we're lucky. We've got to head back and head back
He
now.
was just
You're
going
abandoning
off
them.
on Mallory about being wound up,
I mean, they
used,
risked
and then
their-
thrown away.
Mother's Milk has a daughter.
They
And
want
he's
us to
just doing
finish
the
the
same
job.
shit.
Your job. Your job, not theirs. It's all about Homelander, isn't it?
Yeah?
And A-Train. This is your fucking shit too, Huey. Promised you payback, didn't I?
Mallory give you the same speech back in the day?
Yeah. Yeah, she did. But she broke her promise. I'm keeping mine.
I'm so fucking stupid. You never cared about me. Or
Yeah.
Robin, did you? I was just useful to you.
Fuck, Huey. Of course you're useful. I mean, that's why you're here, isn't it? Now we just gotta take one more step. Yeah? Come on.
No. We have to save them.
For fuck's sake, Huey, we don't have time for this shit right now, okay? We get Stillwell. Now get in the fucking
What's
car.
the
Then
point
what?
in your revenge if it's not about
Becca comes
the
back
actual
from the dead.
people?
Robin too. This is never gonna stop. It's just gonna be more blood and awfulness.
At least Huey's
That's the
getting it.
fucking game. If you don't like to play, why did you join the fucking team?
Mallory's right. You're just gonna drag us all down with you. Not me. Not anymore.
You're a fucking pathetic cunt. And an insult to Robin's memory.
I think I'm doing this for her.
Goodbye, Huey.
Yeah, I mean, you knew this was coming eventually. Like, she just takes it one step further and further every time she, like, needs more from him, right?
Gentle. No.
You're the only person I've ever loved. I didn't kill her. I know. I did.
I mean, at least he's able to eventually.
But it was your fault.
It was definitely your fault, man. Though, I mean, Huey did use it, but. We're having a heart attack? Too much. Used too much.
2, 3. Call an ambulance.
He'll never stop coming for you.
I know.
This is Starlight. I have a code 7865. A train is down. I think he's had a heart attack. You have to go. I'll take over. Huey, go!
Yes.
Or else you'll
Go.
get caught.
Okay, but you don't really have time to pause the CPR, just to say.
What's your end game?
Just to kill you, I imagine.
I'm just gonna hurt you. I mean, really fucking hurt you. And that'll be good enough for me.
So you don't really want anything, per se. You want to blow her up in front of me, right? Wow. Fuck. You are dark, and I kind of like it.
Will you please take Teddy upstairs?
It's okay. Shh, shh, shh. Excuse me. You promised me. No more lies. You fucking promised me. You and Vogelbaum should have got your stories straight. They were so close. So fucking close, but there was a few little details that were different. So I went back to Vogelbaum, and I managed to squeeze the truth out of him.
Literally?
The real truth. Yes, that's it.
The kid didn't die?
I'm so sorry.
Oh.
I should never have lied to you. I know now that you don't need to be protected. I'm so sorry.
Is that it? The kid
Will you
didn't
please
die?
take Daddy upstairs?
Did you ever really care about me?
You mean everything to me.
No. No. I mean everything to your job. You care more about that fucking baby than you do about me.
Dude, it's her
I
kid.
love you. I love you. I love you. I swear I love
But tell me the truth, or I walk out right now.
you. I'm scared. I'm scared of you.
It's
What?
understandable.
I said I'm scared
Of
you. I'm scared of you.
thank you. Thank you for finally being honest.
Oh! I wonder why he was that. Yeah, she was right to be scared, man. What the
What was that plan again?
Oh, well.
He's like, I'll just kill us all instead, but I guess he forgot how fast Homelander is. But of course, you know what the worst part is? He took him for whatever purpose, but you know he left that baby to die. He hated that baby.
Mom?
And his wife is alive too.
Wow, look at this handsome devil.
Shit.
Hey, pal. You know who I am?
Homelander.
Yeah, that's right. But you know who else?
No.
Becca.
Oh. Mommy didn't tell you. Well, I'm your father. And we are a family.
Oh my god. Alright. Well, that was the end of episode 8, the season 1 finale of The Boys. Well, quite the surprise ending there, I have to say. Yes, okay, so I predicted a little earlier on in the episode that it was going to be the case that the baby had actually survived and was still out there, and that was the big secret that was being kept from him. And then, of course, he ultimately ends up killing Madeline, largely because he feels that she betrayed him by keeping the secret and promising not to keep secrets. It seems, at least that's what he's suggesting, but Homelander is such an interesting and complicated character. I feel like it almost, to me, feels like ultimately he actually ended up killing her because he had always felt, and he felt that this just kind of confirmed those feelings, that she didn't just genuinely love him in the way that he was looking and hoping for and expecting, not in the way that she loved her son. And he was right. I mean, for one thing, of course, it makes sense that she wouldn't love this random man in the same way that she loved her own child, but they had that fucked up kind of weird sexual tension, but also parental relationship. And she was constantly kind of like manipulating him and playing on those feelings that she knew that he had towards her in order to get him to behave in the way she wanted. But also, he always certainly understood, it seems, and she admitted it finally, that there was an element of fear in their relationship, which also, of course, makes total sense given the amount of power that he has, the ability he has to pretty much do whatever he wishes to do, ultimately, and not be able to be stopped, combined with his serious temperament and emotional issues. So it makes perfect sense that she'd be afraid, but ultimately, like, she has, over the years, in order to try to maintain some control over him, clearly, been very dishonest and as manipulative as possible, and that just ultimately, eventually, is going to end up breaking him with the realization that what he maybe always kind of feared about her feelings for him being less than genuine, with the realization that that was true. Because I suppose his idea being, if she had truly loved him and cared for him in the way that she said, that she wouldn't have kept such a serious secret from him when she surely knew the significance to him that there would be of the knowledge that he had a child that was out there somewhere, given that he grew up without any sort of family whatsoever, and the trauma that has clearly caused him. But it's interesting. I'm very curious about how this whole situation was led up to, and exactly what sort of life his son and Becca have been living in the intervening years. You know, I'm assuming that it isn't just the case that they were whisked away to keep them away from Homelander for Homelander's good, for the kids' good, for whatever it is. I'm assuming that this was like a new level of their study, attempts to experiment basically with these superheroes that they're creating, a new way to create superheroes without having to, you know, just inject newborn infants with Compound V, possibly, and also raising in a different way. You know, when he had that conversation with Vogelbaum earlier in the season, and Vogelbaum was saying things about how he realized that having him, Homelander, a child raised without affection, raised without any sort of calming, normal parental influence or family life, was going to lead him into basically being the monster that he's become, and that was the huge mistake that they ended up making, and it also made him less malleable and controllable, so he couldn't really be made into, like, the ideal superhero that they really wanted. And then you see this, and so you're wondering, you have to wonder, is that what they were trying to do with Homelander's son, was shape him into the ideal superhero that they could possibly want by having him raised in this environment? And if so, if that is what was happening, you know, how much is Becca clearly a part of this in like kind of trying to shape him? How much of it is just her trying to protect her child, and stay with her child as long as possible? And how much of it is her actively, you know, wanting to play a part of this? I don't feel like we can know this because we don't, at least I don't, having no knowledge of the source material, but it seems like just from the show, we don't really know anything about her other than the brief flashbacks we've gotten of her with Butcher and the things that he has said, which of course is skewed from his own perspective, right? So I'll be very curious to see in season 2 what the hell is happening. I'm also super curious, really, as to why Homelander ultimately ends up saving him and bringing him there, too. I mean, he says right there, we're a family. And, you know, the weird ideas he has about family, I wouldn't be surprised if he has this kind of idea that, oh, well, we should be living together as a family, you know, fully a family. And Butcher would seemingly have no place in that, so it would seem like the ideal solution for that would be to just leave him there to die with Madeline and the baby. So, but so I don't know if that's honestly just a plot device because they obviously want Butcher to be there still in the next season, or if there's ultimately some purpose to Homelander's choice, method behind the madness, you could say. But yeah, I think, well, that was certainly not just the highlight of the episode, but for me, the kind of highlight of the season was really everything with Homelander was by far the best part of this series for me so far in this first season. And how this all ultimately culminated in this was the best part of the show, no question. I'd also say that I thoroughly appreciated the fact that Huey finally kind of woke up to the total manipulative bullshit that Butcher was putting him through, and they did a good job of thoroughly demonstrating the fact that Butcher himself, he felt like he was manipulated and used as a pawn by Mallory, and then just kind of tossed aside when she decided she was done with the situation. And so perhaps that experience, coupled with his belief that Becca was raped and murdered, is going to lead him to just be so completely callous that despite still feeling insulted that that happened to him and still feeling betrayed that happened to him, he's going to turn around and do that to all of these people. And not just Huey, who he's only known for a short amount of time, but, you know, Mother's Milk, Frenchie are people that it suggests that he has years-long history and friendship with, and he's still willing to just let them die so that he can have his revenge, basically. So I'm glad that Huey was able to kind of really just see through everything, call him out on that, and then go and display his own deeper loyalty. And, you know, he said that he felt that he was actually doing this for the right reasons, because you can't say that you're trying to avenge your lost loved ones, and do so in a way that unnecessarily sacrifices other supposed loved ones. I mean, if you're trying to take down the Seven and all these superheroes because you feel that they're a danger to human beings, but you do so in a manner that just continuously sacrifices the lives of other human beings, I don't know, it just seems to kind of suggest that your overall purpose isn't, or your motivation isn't what you say it is. It's not so much about caring about people genuinely. It's more about your own pain and anger over the loss of a specific person, and you're wanting to just take that out in vengeance on everyone in your path, basically. So yeah, this episode really just did kind of highlight the darkness of Butcher, and that he is an extremely messed up individual too. So I'm glad that Huey was kind of able to get out of that. I'm glad that Annie was able to see that Huey genuinely is more of a good person than maybe his manipulativeness of her would have led her to think. Especially you see in that last moment with A-Train where he's basically saying, I'm willing to continue to be followed by this man for the rest of my life, perhaps killed by him, but I'm willing to take that risk because I'm not willing to just sit here and just let him die for my own gain. And so I think that's really going to shift completely her views on him going forward, and I expect in season 2 we'll see them trying to kind of work things out, whether it's going back into a more romantic relationship again or just having like a friendship positive connection. I don't know, but I expect that fully to happen. I really don't know what's going to happen with the whole plot overall. You know, we saw Giancarlo Esposito here, and now that Madeline is dead, maybe he is going to be coming in season 2 as a more prominent role. I think that would be exciting because he's a phenomenal actor and I love him, and I would love to see more of him here. We saw some serious mental breakdowns with some other characters, you know, obviously, and physical in terms of A-Train, but then the Deep. So I'm curious, really, altogether, to see what the state of the Seven is going to be going into the next season. pretty much no one is on the same page anymore. So yeah, I honestly have no clue what we're going to be getting ourselves into, with the exception of obviously some crazy things with Homelander and his son are going to be going down. I'll say that overall, I definitely enjoyed this first season. I feel like the show has a lot of potential, but I also feel like there were a lot of areas that I guess I'd say were weaker and I think could have been done a lot better. For me, everything surrounding Homelander was top notch. I think Anthony Starr's performance really put it over the top, but also the weird dynamics that he had with a variety of characters, particularly Madeline, and everything about his backstory was the most interesting to me by far. I felt that their discussion of kind of the corporatization of things was good and well done. I did feel like a lot of the storylines were things that I don't know, I don't want to say necessarily predictable, but were things that were, I guess, kind of typical trope-like stories, you know, everything with Annie and Huey's relationship, as cute as it could be at times, and as much as I like Annie as pretty much the only truly, genuinely good character throughout the whole show, it was not anything, you know, new or unique or exciting to me in any sort of way. So I think that there were definitely things that were weaker. I think that a lot of the themes are things that source material maybe was better. I don't know, but I feel like other products like Watchmen have done better in the past with similar themes. But again, I know a lot of people really love this show, and I can totally see why. It was very entertaining, and like I said, I loved all the stuff with Homelander, and mostly what I come out of it with is the idea that this has a lot of potential going forward if they develop the stories in the right direction. So I am definitely looking forward to season 2 and seeing what they can come up with to kind of shake things up. So, all right, I think I'm going to wrap this up here. So if you have questions or comments, do leave them down below. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining me. Hopefully I will see you next time. Bye.